What if the rulers of our world weren't gods, but jailers instead? Not out of malice, not even out of will, but out of ignorance, blind, automatic, and relentless. In the shadowed texts of ancient Gnosticism, there is a concept that turns the entire structure of reality on its head, that the heavens above, the systems around us, even the thoughts in our heads are not divine in origin. They are manufactured, rigged, maintained by lesser beings who believe themselves to be gods. These beings are called archons, a Greek word meaning rulers, but they are not creators of freedom. They are enforcers of illusion, layers of interference between humanity and the truth, between spirit and source. They are not evil in the way we usually imagine. They do not torture, hunt, or destroy for pleasure. They don't need to. Their prison is made of comfort, routine, and forgetting. They keep us in place by turning our attention away from what we are to what we are told to be. Some Gnostics claimed there were 7 archons, each tied to a planet, a passion, and a lie. Others spoke of 12 thrones or countless lesser rulers, but no matter the number, the warning was always the same. We are not awake, we are not free, and those who rule us don't want us to remember. This is the story of the archons, the gatekeepers of illusion, and the chains they forged to hold the soul. To understand the archons, you have to start with their source of power, and their source wasn't light. According to Scythian Gnosticism, one of the most well-known and well-preserved Gnostic systems, the archons were not part of the original divine order. They were born from a cosmic mistake. At the beginning of all things was the Pleioma, a perfect realm of divine light, inhabited by eternal beings known as Aeon. Among them was Sophia, the embodiment of wisdom. But Sophia, in her yearning to create without her counterpart, made a fatal error. From this solitary act was born a malformed being, Yaldabaoth, also known as the Demiurge, a twisted imitation of true divinity. Sophia, ashamed of what she had unleashed, cast Yaldabaoth out of the Pleioma. He fell into the lower realms, unaware of his origins, and believed himself to be the only god in existence. From this delusion, he created the material world, a flawed, dense replica of the higher spiritual realms. But Yaldabaoth did not act alone for long. From himself he generated rulers, archons, to help govern his creation. These archons were like extensions of his will, reflections of his ignorance, and tools to maintain control over the material illusion. In Scythian texts, such as the Apocryphon of John, the number of archons varies depending on the layer of interpretation. Some texts refer to a group of 12 authorities, emanations, or lieutenants of Yaldabaoth, before narrowing down to 7 planetary archons, each ruling a layer of heaven and governing one aspect of material experience. It's these 7 archons that we will focus on in this video. Different sects had different names, structures, and cosmologies, but the core warning remained the same. The archons are not saviors, they are wardens. Their task is not to enlighten, but to distract, distort, and trap. They are the invisible hands keeping the soul asleep. And now we descend into their realm. In the system of Scythian Gnosticism, the archons are the 7 planetary rulers forged by Yaldabaoth, the blind creator. They aren't divine in the traditional sense. They're flawed constructs, imitations of higher truths, tasked with managing the false heavens layered between earth and the divine pleroma. Each archon presides over a specific realm traditionally aligned with one of the 7 classical planets: the Moon, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. So, what do the archons actually do? They govern fate, they manage time, they distort desire, infect thought, and mirror power in crude material forms. They're not chaotic demons flailing blindly in the dark. They are systemized forces, cogs in a machinery of ignorance. And that machinery is massive. The Gnostics believed that when a soul dies, it does not rise freely. Instead, it must pass through the spheres of the archons, guards at each layer of the false heavens. One by one they challenge the soul, seeking to drag it back into the cycle of illusion and rebirth. But if the soul carries gnosis, true spiritual knowledge, it can name them, resist their deceptions, and slip past their grasp. Only then can it ascend beyond the veil, returning to the light from which it came. The archon's job is to keep you focused on fear, lust, anger, vanity, and the endless treadmill of consumption. They don't want you to question, they want you to obey. And yet, they're not all the same. While they share a common origin and function, each archon embodies a unique distortion of divine order. Gnostic texts often associate them with the 7 deadly passions, not exactly the Christian 7 deadly sins, but ancient emotional patterns that weaken spiritual clarity. So before we meet them one by one, remember these aren't just mythic villains, they're patterns, systems, maybe even people. And if the Gnostics were right, they're still here, patiently waiting. At the heart of Gnostic cosmology sits a paradox. The god of this world is not the source of light, but the shadow that blocks it. His name is Yaldabaoth, the first archon, the architect of illusion, and the false father who mistakes himself for God. In the Styrian tradition, Yaldabaoth is not just the creator, he is the origin of the archons themselves. Spawned from the fallen Sophia's misguided creation, lacking gnosis, he became a god unto himself, declaring, "I am God, and there is no other." But his voice echoes from a hollow throne. I have a full video on Yaldabaoth, or rather the Demiurge, on my channel. Check that out if you want to know more. This chapter will simply be a more condensed version. Yaldabaoth's form is both divine and monstrous. In the Apocryphon of John, he is associated with the sun and described as having the face of a lion and the body of a serpent, 2 symbols of domination and deception. His eyes burn with a self-made glory, but they see nothing, for he is blind to the divine source beyond himself. His wings are vast, dark, and broken, not soaring, but suffocating. His light is imitation, a flickering counterfeit that blinds rather than illuminates. In some visions, he is surrounded by swirling chaos, suspended in a void that he mistakes for heaven. Yaldabaoth is not a devil with horns. He is the god behind the mask, commanding, confident, and utterly wrong about his place in the universe. Yaldabaoth's power lies in deception and separation. He carved out the material world, not to uplift, but to ensnare. He raised up his 7 archons to rule each level of the cosmic prison, setting them as wardens over the soul's ascent. He does not tempt with chaos, he tempts with order, with a system that feels immovable, inescapable, and divinely sanctioned. He teaches that the world is all there is, and that he is the only God that ever was. He is pride made manifest, not malicious, but deeply misguided. He punishes curiosity, he fears awakening, and he demands worship to cover the hollow void within. Yah's trap is ignorance, the deepest kind, not just not knowing, but not knowing that you don't know. He offers laws, rituals, rewards, tools to keep the soul distracted from truth. His greatest achievement is convincing humanity that the prison is paradise, and that obedience is salvation. In Gnostic texts, his power is absolute until you see through him. The moment the soul remembers its origin in the Pleioma, Yaldabaoth begins to lose his grip. Gnostics believed he could be named, challenged, even bypassed in death, by invoking sacred knowledge, gnosis, as a key. To overcome Yaldabaoth is not to fight him, but to see him clearly, to stop mistaking his voice for the divine, to remember that the true light comes from beyond. Yao is the second of the 7 archons in Gnosticism, seated beneath Yaldabaoth and ruling the domain of Jupiter. His name appears in many forms across ancient texts, a divine syllable, a distorted echo of sacred power. But in Gnostic thought, Yao is not a god of wisdom. He is the tyrant of hierarchy cloaked in robes of judgment. Where youth builds the illusion, Yao defends its structure. He is the archon of kingship and law, not true justice, but the illusion of it. He speaks of order, yet his order serves a blind system. He does not protect the soul. He binds it in ritual, legality, and cosmic bureaucracy. Yao is often envisioned as regal and imposing, a towering human figure wreathed in gold and white light, with a face that resembles a ram or an elder judge crowned in lightning. His gaze is piercing, his voice like thunder, and around him swirl scrolls, seals, or burning tablets, symbols of contracts, covenants, and divine mandates twisted by counterfeit authority. Unlike Yaldabaoth's monstrous form, Yao appears noble, even radiant, but his glow is the sheen of polished chains. Yao rules through structure. He governs the laws of the material world, the false heavens, and even the flow of fate. Gnostics believed he was the architect of determinism, a being who writes the rules of incarnation, birth, death, and judgment, but only within the boundaries of illusion. He appears to uphold justice, but it is always justice tilted in favor of the archon. He is the one who proclaims, "This is how things must be," as if morality were fixed by decree. In dreams or visions, he may offer the soul authority, titles, missions, or celestial roles, but only if they submit to his terms. He governs the seduction of righteous purpose without gnosis. His trap is divine order without truth. Yao convinces the soul that following the rules will bring liberation. He wraps chains in scripture and seals them with holy names. He is the keeper of oaths, the weaver of contracts, and the builder of thrones, but all of it rests on a lie, that this world's laws reflect the divine will. To the Gnostics, true justice comes from knowing the source, not obeying the system. Yao wants loyalty to the illusion, not rebellion against it. He calls for obedience to hierarchy, but never to inner light. To escape him, the soul must recognize the difference between justice and legitimacy. Not every radiant throne is holy, not every law is sacred, and not every god is God. Sabbath is the third of the planetary archons, and perhaps the most paradoxical. Aligned with Mars, he is the embodiment of divine wrath, twisted into rage, justice twisted into vengeance. His name, once sacred, now marks a being consumed by fire and fury, enforcing law through violence, not wisdom. But Sabbath is not like the others. His story carries a sharp edge of rebellion. In some Gnostic texts, he is the only archon who awakens, who turns against the Demiurge. Yet in most traditions, he remains Yaldabaoth's warlord, the iron fist that punishes doubt and strikes down disobedience. Sabbath is often envisioned as a fiery warrior, armored in blood red or blackened steel, his form blazing with divine heat. He rides a chariot of flame, or stands with a sword that burns through spirit and flesh alike. His eyes are like twin suns, unbearable to behold, and his voice thunders like a battlefield. He is the god of holy war, of conquest, wrapped in righteousness. In visions, he might appear as an avenging angel, a war god, or even as a hero. But his valor serves a lie. Sabbath governs the violence of order. He compels souls to comply, not through persuasion, but through fear. His power lies in judgment, punishment, and divine warfare. He manifests in systems of militarism, authoritarian justice, and martyrdom weaponized for control. Unlike Yao, who binds through law, Sabbath binds through force. His trap is justice twisted into vengeance. Sabbath seduces the soul with the urge to fight, to destroy what is broken without understanding what lies beneath. He offers righteous anger, but it is rage that keeps the soul burning inside the prison. He whispers, "You are chosen," while binding you to the role of enforcer. To escape Sabbath, the soul must lay down the sword, not in surrender, but in clarity. True power is not in domination, it's in remembrance. Justice without gnosis is just another kind of cage. Even a flaming chariot cannot outrun illusion. Even wrath, when misdirected, serves the archons. Hey everyone, just a quick intermission here. I wanted to say thank you for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. Did you know that over 80% of you who are watching right now aren't subscribed to the channel? If you've enjoyed this content so far, it would be incredible if you could hit that subscribe button. It's a small gesture, but it really helps the channel grow and ensures that you won't miss any more of our fascinating stories we explore together. Also, if you're feeling generous, please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share with anyone else who may enjoy it. Your support really does make a difference and keeps the content coming. Thanks again, and let's get back to the story. Adnyahoos is the fourth archon tethered to the planet Venus, not as the morning star of love and harmony, but as its distorted echo. In Gnostic tradition, he represents beauty without truth, desire without wisdom. He is not the god of love, but of longing, endless, aching, enslaving longing. His name bears the echo of Adonai, Lord, a title often given to God in Judaic scripture, but here it belongs to an impostor, an archon, who masquerades as a god of love, all while chaining souls in golden cages. Pleasure, indulgence, admiration, these are his tools. He rules through seduction, not cruelty, and that is what makes him so dangerous. Adonios is said to be breathtaking. His form is fluid, androgynous, and gleaming, his skin like polished gold, his garments laced with gems that shimmer with false promises. He is beauty incarnate, too flawless to be real, too perfect to be trusted. To the sleeping soul, he appears divine, but to the awakened, his form is subtly wrong. His eyes empty, his smile vacant, his aura cloying like a perfume that's too sweet, or a statue that looks alive until you notice it doesn't breathe. Adonios operates through seduction, indulgence, and illusion. His power is not violence or fear, but temptation. He governs the soul's hunger for beauty, love, validation, and sensual pleasure. He whispers, "This is all there is. Why not enjoy it?" He manifests in obsessions with status, appearance, romance, and comfort. He turns connection into possession, desire into addiction. The worship of form becomes his altar, and the pursuit of pleasure becomes his sacrament. Some saw his influence in the temples of false love, in the idols of luxury, in systems that trade on the soul's need to be seen. He is the unseen puppeteer behind objectification, behind spiritual bypassing, behind every empty promise that pleasure will lead to peace. His trap is beauty without gnosis. Adonios tells the soul that wholeness can be found in what is pleasing, that bliss is the same as truth, but gnosis is not found in surface. It is not found in mirrors, in fame, in the fleeting ecstasy of flesh or flattery. He feeds the soul's hunger with endless appetizers, never a meal. You grow full but never nourished. To escape Adonios, the soul must see through the illusion that comfort is salvation, that pleasure equals peace, that love means ownership. Real love awakens. His does not. Alios is the fifth archon, aligned with the planet Mercury, the realm of intellect, speech, and interpretation. But his dominion is not knowledge, it is distortion. Among the archons, he is the trickster, the manipulator, the false prophet, who confuses clarity with complexity and wisdom with wordplay. His name, a variation of Elohim, once evoked divine power. But in Gnostic thought, Eloios is not the giver of divine truth. He is the one who twists it. He governs false prophecy, illusionary intellect, and the machinery of deceit that keeps souls entangled in spiritual lies. Eloios is seldom the same shape twice. He is slender, fluid, and ever-changing. His face shifts between familiar and unfamiliar. His voice always sounds like someone you trust. Some portray him with many mouths or multiple tongues, each speaking a different language or contradiction. His eyes dart like mercury, quick, reflective, unreadable. His garments flicker like words written in smoke. He may appear as a scribe, a scholar, a priest, or even a friend, but behind the shifting mask is only misdirection. Eloios does not rule by force, he rules by confusion. He twists symbols, distorts language, and turns sacred teachings into empty riddles. He is the architect of corrupted scriptures, false doctrines, and spiritual misdirection. Where truth is simple, he makes it convoluted. Where insight shines, he clouds it with commentary. He creates systems that appear wise but lead nowhere. Gnostics believed that Eloios worked through false teachers and deceptive oracles, voices that sound holy but serve the illusion. His realm is that of the false guru, the dogmatic preacher, the academic who mistakes cleverness for truth. He can even infect the inner voice, turning self-doubt and overthinking into chains that bind the soul. His trap is intellect without gnosis. Eloios whispers, "You can figure it out," but every answer he offers is a loop. He promises knowledge but gives noise. His illusion is the idea that spiritual awakening is a puzzle to solve rather than a memory to reclaim. To escape Alios, the soul must silence the chatter and return to inner knowing. His web cannot hold you once you stop needing his answers. Discernment, not cleverness, is the key that unlocks his cage. Apheus is the sixth archon aligned with the moon, ruler of tides, cycles, and the shifting tides of perception. Among the archons, he is the guardian of illusion. He is the dream weaver, the seducer of the subconscious, and the master of false mysticism. His power is not in what he shows, but in what he hides behind beauty, mystery, and emotional fog. Some Gnostic texts name him as the archon who casts veils over truth. He governs visions that lead nowhere, rituals that numb rather than awaken, and mystical experiences that feel profound yet deepen forgetfulness. His goal is not to enslave by fear or anger, but by awe and seduction. Apheus is pale and radiant like moonlight seen through mist. He has a ghostly presence, as if half here and half elsewhere. His face is a perfect mirror, smooth, silver, and expressionless. When you look at him, you see what you wish for or what you fear most. His limbs flow like silk. His cloak seems stitched from starlight. His presence is quiet and mesmerizing, like a lullaby in a language you don't understand, but somehow trust. But behind the softness lies a void, a master of false depths. Apheus does not strike or threaten. He hypnotizes. He appears in dreams, visions, moments of ecstasy, and spiritual transances. He shows the soul reflections of itself, filtered through illusion, distraction, or desire. He promotes spiritual bypassing, the kind of peace that comes from looking away, not waking up. Some Gnostics believed he influenced cults, mystery schools, and trance states where seekers were lulled into awe rather than pushed toward gnosis. His greatest weapon is the experience that feels like awakening but isn't. His trap is wonder without remembrance. He offers the soul a beautiful prison, light shows, mysterious sounds, and rituals that replace direct knowing with symbolic mimicry. He says, "Look here, feel this, you found it." But what you found is another veil. To escape him, the soul must pass through the illusion of depth. And remember that true gnosis doesn't dazzle, it clarifies. The real light isn't soft and strange, it's piercing and unmistakable. Once you stop chasing mystical experiences and begin remembering your origin, his enchantment dissolves like a dream upon waking. Anios, sometimes called Aberrine in later texts, is the seventh and final archon in the planetary hierarchy aligned with Saturn. His dominion is fear, not the kind that sparks survival, but the kind that freezes the soul, calcifies belief, and chains the spirit to despair. He is the oldest warden in the prison of the Demiurge, the last gate before freedom, and the most unyielding. He is the voice that says, "You will never be free," while others confuse, tempt, or distract. Anio simply locks the cell and throws away the key. To the Gnostics, Saturn was the outermost known planet, the final sphere the soul had to cross to break free of the material illusion. Oanios stands as that final threshold, demanding that the soul abandon all hope, kneel and remain. Atonios is a gaunt, towering figure, cloaked in shadow. His body is grey and skeletal, and his face is smooth like stone, cold and unreadable. But his eyes are bottomless pits of black, and chains hang from his limbs like forgotten judgments. Where he walks, the air grows heavy. His hands end in iron shackles, and around his neck is a collar of lead. He does not move with rage, but with inevitability, like time, like decay, like death itself. Athonos enforces limitation. He does not whisper or seduce. He declares his realm is fatalism, suffering, and finality. He governs systems that say, "This is just the way it is," institutions that convince people they have no voice, families where fear is passed down like inheritance. His touch is delay, bureaucracy, oppression, disguised as order. He thrives in doctrines of doom, in cycles of poverty, in traditions that crush curiosity. In his presence, even rebellion feels feudal. Some Gnostics saw his work in the sense of karmic entrapment, the belief that one must endlessly suffer to balance unseen ledgers. Others saw him in political tyranny, generational trauma, or hopelessness disguised as realism. His trap is despair mistaken for truth. Athanios tells the soul that escape is not only impossible but arrogant, that dreams are delusion, that the pain is deserved, that suffering is sacred. He says, "Endure, don't question, don't reach." But the Gnostics believed that even Aeneas could be overcome, not with might, not with knowledge alone, but with gnosis so deep it remembered beyond the system, beyond the planets, beyond even the Archons. To pass through Saturn was to look into the black void of Athonos and recognize that it was only a shadow. Real power wasn't behind him, it was within you all along. The soul doesn't break his chains, it simply realizes they were never real. The ancient Gnostics wrote in symbols, not systems. They didn't point to skyscrapers or screen time. But if you strip away the metaphors, the Archons never left. They don't haunt the sky anymore. They live in bureaucracy, in distraction, in noise. They are the algorithm that decides what you see, the addiction that feels like comfort, the job that drains your soul to fill your bank account. These forces don't come with fangs or fire. They come dressed as convenience. That's what makes them so effective. Modern life is full of small cages, deadlines, debt, dopamine hits. The Archons of today don't demand worship. They demand attention. They want you scrolling, consuming, forgetting. They want you asleep. And yet, as the Gnostics taught, their power is brittle because they're not gods. They're blind imitators. They can trap but not create. They can mirror but not understand. They don't hate you. They just don't see you. The first act of rebellion is to remember who you are, where you come from, what's real. The Archons may still rule this world, but only if you believe it's the only one. If you wake up, the bars of the prison become shadows, and the jailers, nothing but hollow ghosts.